Hello, Ocholi Okutepa is my name. I'm excited to be coming to you again today. So today I'm talking about what to check in terms of the financial disposition and the financial attitude of the person you want to be married to. All right, the first thing about money is not about having money, but having the disposition that is relevant or useful. All right, so I'll say a few things about disposition before we talk about having money in itself. So the first thing you want to check is to be sure that your financial thinking is in the right place. First thing about financial thinking is what is their disposition to the pressure of money. We live in a financially pressured world, all right, an economically driven world. Everybody you know have faced a financial situation either at one point or the other of their life, or recently or in the past. People are still going to continue to face different financial scenarios. All right, sometimes they have, sometimes you don't exactly have. In fact, that's the whole thing that informs the economic theory of economics itself. The management of scarce resources. So as children of God, we are not talking about scarce resources because by the grace of God, we are looking towards a place where we are financially stable. But here's the deal. What do they think about the handling of financial pressure when they have, when they do not have? That's why the Bible comes in handy in Matthew chapter 6 when Jesus begins to teach and say, take no thought what you eat or drink, wherewithal you be clothed. He said, look at the birds of the air, they neither sow nor reap, but your heavenly Father keeps them. He said, therefore I say to you, you can serve two masters at the same time. Why was he making all of that conversation? He made all of that conversation because it became necessary to address the issue of the heart. So he said you can't serve God and mammon at the same time. Now Jesus made that conversation in the context of lack, want, or need. All right, he made that conversation in the context of lack, want, or need. All right, so what was he saying? He was saying irrespective of where you are in terms of what you have or what you don't have, I expect the same disposition of you. All right, so he said take no thought. So that the attitude of the believer in every economic situation is an attitude of peace. And why do I say this? See, the person you marry will treat you to how they are able to be disposed when there's money situation. So you have people beating up their wives, or people nagging at their husbands, or people losing the capacity to retain their romance in marriage just because money happened. All right, so when life happens, what will happen to the person that you choose? That's one of the questions you want to ask. So when they come under financial pressure, even when you are not married, how do you see them handle it? Do they handle it by faith, or they handle it by mammon? Because one of the first display of mammon is the spirit of worry. So Jesus began to say, take no thought. In that context to say you can't serve God and mammon. In essence, worrying, anxiety. I'm talking about active worry, active anxiety here. I'm not just talking about the thought crossing your mind, because sometimes the thought crosses your mind like, I don't enter. No. But how do they react to the pressure when it begins to try to translate to worry? Now, let me quickly say this also. This disposition is so important because if they do not have the faith disposition, that is how when pressure comes in life, these people will get into things they should never get into. Or I begin to practice things they should never practice. That's how people end up in the occult. It's not because they were originally bad people. It's because they could not handle the disposition required for managing the pressures of life. Let me tell you, pressure is going to come. Some of you will get married. You got to pay rent. Sometimes you can't pay the rent. Sometimes the business has not clicked the way you want it to click. Just like we say in Africa, you never blow. All right. So many things will happen when it comes to the conversation on money. In fact, some people, begin to have troubles when they begin to plan their wedding because the wedding planning process begins to reveal to them their financial incapacity. So you want to check the person you are dating or the person interested in marrying you or even your spouse. How are they handling financial pressure? Or are they able to keep a smile? Are they able to keep planning? Are they able to remain in faith? All right. Now, this is more important than having the money itself. Because by the time you begin to have the money, all right, this disposition is still going to play a key role. Because some people are married to money. They don't want to lose it because they don't know how to handle it when they lose it. All right. So their whole life is tied to money. That's what Jesus began to address. All right. Say, take no thought, saying, why? He said, your heavenly Father. Let me quickly say this now. The disposition a Christian couple or couple to be should have is the disposition of faith. He said, look at the birds of the air. Look at the lilies of the field. He said, if I look at the grass, what happens to them? Or the flowers that you see, the wild flowers. All right. He said, look, your heavenly Father caters for them. He said, so that even Solomon in his greatest arraignment was not arrayed like one of those. Wow. What was he saying? He was saying, your sustenance is my business. He said, they neither sow nor reap. That means before you made any investment, he said they don't gather into banks. That means they don't have, savings account. They don't have fixed deposit account. That's banks, all right? They don't have anything, they can look up to and say, here, I invested this. He said, before that, your heavenly Father. So the disposition every couple or couple to be should have is that our sustenance is of the Lord before we lift a finger. You need to let that enter. He said, before we lift a finger. Now, personally, this has worked for me. All right, so that I take God as my source. Our dear friend Noella sings a song, you are my source, my sustainer, my source that will never run dry. My job is not my source, my investment is not my source. They are just the conduit pipe through which God supplies my needs. That's why it says in Philippians that my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. So it's so important to have the right disposition when it comes to money, and the right disposition is the disposition of faith. That's why it begins to say in Hebrews, that he will never leave you nor forsake you. Why did he say he will never leave you nor forsake you? All right, because he told us not to be anxious. He told us not to become covetous. All right, he tells us to, put our faith in him, because he will never leave you nor forsake you. All right, so that's the promise that we must go forward with. It's so important to come to this point. See, both of you must think like this. Why am I saying this? Money pressure will happen in life. A lot of money pressure. I mean, people think they can plan finances. The first plan that works in financial plan is the faith plan. Why do I say that? Even the wisest of men fail. Businesses fail. All right? That's what the Bible says in Timothy, that we do not trust in uncertain riches. There's something called uncertain riches. We don't trust in uncertain riches. What do we trust in? We trust in our God. So the first plan you must make when it comes to the financial plan as a couple is the faith plan. All right, the next thing you must do is to have an actual plan. All right, the faith plan does not make you lazy. That's what the Bible says, faith without works is dead. All right, so faith plan functions in 2 dimensions. Number 1, I recognize you as my source. Number 2, I recognize that the effort I will make will succeed because of you. If you make the plan in that 2-way, or in those 2 ways, then you have gotten the plan. All right, I'm going to cut this video here. In the next video, I'm going to get into the practical financial plans you should make as a couple, or as a couple to be, that makes your faith work. All right, till I come your way again through that video, God bless you.